Okay, hello guys. So today let's begin our lesson. We are just moving to the next part. We are doing exercise about percentage basics, and we are learning further about the percentage, okay? So here we have some problems. The first problem here is to find 15% of 60, right? So last time we said we can just switch the percentage values into the fraction numbers, right? So here, 15% we can set it can be transferred into 15 over 100, right? And then times 60, okay. So then you can set, oh, maybe here we can just delete 0 at the same time, and here it becomes 15 over 10 times 6, okay. So 15 over 10 can be written as 3 over 2, and here's the value, here is 9, okay. And the second problem here is to express 0.045 as a percentage. So also by using that way, we can set here we can write it down as 45 here over 1,000, okay? And then you can divide it by 5. Here's 9 over 200, okay? And then we knew that 9 over 200, we can just divide it by 2 at the same time. That is 4.5. Here's 100, right? And then we can say it's 4.5%, right? This is for the second problem. And for the third problem is to like compare with two values here to compare which is larger, 30% of 50 or 80% of 30, right? And then you can also like using the method, we can first times 30% with 50. Okay, the answer here is 30% times 50, and here is about like 3 over 10 times 5, 50. Okay, so here is 15. And for 50% times 30, it equals to 50 over 100, or you can also 5 over 10, right? 5 over 10. And here we can also times 30. And there we can just delete, like divide it by 10 at the same time, and the final answer is 15, okay? So we can say they are at the same value, okay? So here they equals to each other. And for the fourth question here, a student scores 45 out of 60 in a test and works at person in school. We can also say, oh, here we are using 45 to divide it by 60. Okay, so you can just divide it by 15 at the same time. That is 3 over 4. So here is for 75%. Okay, and then you can just times 25 on the head of the person, at the head of the fraction number, and also for 4 we can times 25, and you can find it's 75 over 100 that we can convert it into 75%. And for 2.5% of the 800, and we can say it's 2.5 over 100 times 800, right? So the answer here is 2.5 over 100 times 800. You can just divide it by 100 at the same time. It's 8. 8 times 2.5, and the final answer here equals to, I guess, is 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, that is for this answer. So I'm wondering if you just understand all the problems right here. Okay, they are very important. Okay, and for the second part, we are just learning about the percentage change. Okay, so like here. So we knew that the change means like the difference, right? So for the percentage change, we can say it means like the change or difference over the original value, and then you can times 100%. Okay, so like here, we can find this example. Like a phone price drops from $500 to $400, right? So you can first write down the difference right here. It's 500 minus 400 is 100. Okay. And the original value here is 500, right? And say you can set the calculation here is 100 over 500, and then times 100%. Okay. So here we can find it. Here we changes it to 5, and it's 20%. Okay. So we can say, oh, maybe here we have a 20% decrease. Okay. Okay. Like here, also some other problems. Like here, like maybe we said, oh, here we have increased 200% by 5%. So like by, we mean that we added a new value or a new price on 200. So we can first write down what is 5%. So here you can say, oh, maybe for $200 times 5%, and here's like 200 times 5 over 100, right? And first you can divide it by 2 at the same time. That is 2, and here's 1. And the answer here is 10. Okay. So your original price is 200 and you added 10 on 200. That's the final answer, or the final price here is 210. Okay, so like here. And also you can like using this multiplier method right here. Like we have the first price is 100% and we added 5% on it. So the final answer is 105%. So it's 1.05. And you can use the original price times the total value of here is 1.05, and the final answer is 210. Okay. So the key multipliers here is to increase by 20%. That means you have to times 1 plus 0.2, and it's 1.2. If you want to calculate like increase by 100%, that is times 2, okay? So this is how we can making the multiplier right here, okay? To just understanding for increasing by, here is 200 by 5% is first we have 5% times 200 and then added this value, okay? So here also some other method like decrease $5, $50 by 15%. So you can just written down $15 times 15%, and here is about maybe for I guess $7.5, right? And then you can using $50 minus $7.5 and is equals to $42.5. Okay. And also you can like using this way, you can first write it down as a percentage. It's 100% minus 15%, and the answer here is 85%. And here we said the value here decreased by 0.85. And then you can use in 50 times 0.85, it equals to 42.5. Okay. Okay, so here are some like compound percentage change. Sometimes we have to, maybe sometimes we are increasing price and then decrease, or sometimes we're just first decreasing the price and then increasing. Okay. So here's an example. Like a population of 10,000 rises by 10% at the first time and then falls by 10%. Okay. So first you can write it down as first increasing the 10% means like we have 100 and then we change this into 110, right? We added 10 on this part. So we can say, oh, for 110%, we can just write it down as 1.1, okay? And for the 100% and we decreasing 10%, that means we are just changing to 0.9, right? So here we can make a calculation like 10,000 times 1.1 times 0.9 equals to 9,900, right? So we can say this is the final price. So you can find maybe you're considered about, oh, maybe first we're rising 10% and then falling by 10% that there's no change. But to remember that, so rising by 10% is from the original price. So we have a little bit rising, but falling down by 10%, we have falling down at the total price because it's after the rising, so we have falling for more price rather than the first time. Okay, because we're falling down on a larger amount, right? So because that, so here, like we have said, we have a bar right here, and we increase by 10%. Like here, maybe the bar is 100 meter long. Okay, and here is 110, right? And then you decrease it by 110. Okay, so you are decreasing by 1.1. Okay, so here we can find final answer here is 99.9. Okay, so it's shorter than 100. Okay. So this is this way. I'm wondering if you're just understanding about this. And also you can just using the multipliers 1.1 times 0.9 and the final answer is at 0.99, okay? So another example like here, a salary for 40,000 is increased by 5% every year for 3 years, okay? And this you can find increasing by 5% every year. We knew that if we have our original price is 1, and then you times 1.05 for every year, because 1.05 is from 100%, then plus 5%, right? 100% times 5%. So it's 1.05. Okay. And then you can say, oh, maybe every year for 3 years, and we have 40,000, and first year we times 1.05, and then we can, at the second year, we also times 1.05, and then we also times 1.05, right? So finally, we can write down as this one, like 40,000 times 1.05 cube, okay? So here is 46,305, okay? So we can say this is the final result right here, okay? This is for the problem solving for like this many years we have increases, okay? So here is some practice, okay? I'm just trying to tell you very quickly. So you can first pause our video and try to solve by yourself. But if you have no ideas with this, you can just like keep on going, and then we are just having a little bit like trying together. Okay. So for the first problem right here, write down the multiplier for an increasing of 7%, right? So if you have 100 value, right, you're tiny for 7%, or like you're adding 7, right? This, okay, it becomes 107, okay? So from 100, we just change it into 107, we just times 1.07, right? So because the multiplier here is 1.07, okay. So for here, we are just decreasing by 3.5%, because that we are just changing it like 1 minus 0.09, 0.035. Okay, like here. Okay, sorry, I guess here is sorry, maybe 0.035. Okay, so here you're just timing the 0.965 at this time. Okay. So at the third problem, if you're increasing 500 by 12%, you can say it's 500 times 1 plus 12%, right? Like this way. Okay. So the answer here, I guess, is 560. Okay. And decrease 80 by 20% is 1 minus 20%. And here the answer is, I guess, it's 64. Okay. And for the last question, like we have the car value $10,000 dropped by 10% in year one and another 20% in year two, right? So we have 10,000 and first we are decreasing by 10%, is 1 minus 10%. And then another 20% in year two is 1 minus 20%. So here is 10,000 times 90% times 80%, right? So here is 10,000 times 0.9, then times 0.8, and the final answer here is $7,200. Okay, so I'm guessing you're just understanding for all these questions. I hope you can just try to solve this and then just understand for the multipliers and understand for the percentage and for increasing by, and maybe you have a decrease and then you can just calculate the compound increasing right here. Okay, so I'm hoping you can just understand for percentage. This lesson is very important because in the future, we are just keeping on going for a lot of percentage problems, okay? So that's all for today's our lesson. See you next time. Bye.